Heads up HUD, please. Okay.
It's loading.
Mm-hmm.
I will close some programs to be.
And do you have Stars Helper or something?
I think it's just for now. Like after this will appear immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so over here, like you check back, I guess. Uh-huh. And like you don't need to be probing on the 9 and the limp pot, although it's not the worst. But yeah, I wouldn't be probing usually, and I'd go for the delay. Okay. So here you're calling. Mm-hmm.
How much percent should have to mirrors to shoving here with 4 views to 5 views?
I would never shove. I might like
Okay.
3-bet non-all in,
Okay.
because it does way better as a 3-bet non-all in. But like, it's at deep stacks, he's limping at shallow stacks, and also, he doesn't seem to be c-betting too much. I don't mind, like, calling. I think I'd usually call.
Okay. Okay. Fold.
Yeah, I like folding on the 10. I mean, it completes a lot of cards between the 7 and king. Okay, so here you've got a gut shot. So basically, if you have any kind of equity, you can very often go for a probe and barrel. So if I had like complete air, I would usually check. But if you've got like a gut shot, Crashfest also tells you to probe and barrel, so you can do it.
Because I knew when is the pair board on the or on the turn it comes to pair card, we not should barreling, right? But with equity we should okay.
You've got like a gut shot here, so it's not gonna be bad. Okay, well you win.
Yeah. I was thinking I have straight first time when I saw I will win. Yeah.
And what you should do is you should like take a note here. It's very important that you take a note of the fact that he like checked down his hand, and so you know in the future you know that he's only c-betting with value probably, and so every time he checks, even in limp pots, you can just probe.
Good, good.
So it's the same guy, and he's betting, so you know you're not happy because you've got bottom pair. So I'd be calling for sure, but play it very slow. Okay, and on the river, it's kind of like you could check is okay for sure. You could also put out a blocker bet, because like if he's got a jack, you split, because even jack queen you split with. And he can still call with like a 9 or queen high or something sometimes. So yeah, you can bet like 40 chips if you want, and you don't have to like check call against 80 or something if you don't want to face that. But okay, checking's fine too. Same guy. Yeah, okay, and obviously calling. And you can go a bit bigger when you've got a flush draw, because like you've got a strong draw basically. And this guy's the type of guy who checks back air and is passive.
I should increase the sizing with equity and go half pot with bluff, right?
Yeah, you can go like 3/4 pot here.
But 40, 14 here,
45 is good.
45, okay. And here,
And um,
too small.
hmm. I mean, you have to think of whether he's going to like barrel, and so very often I'm just gonna like bet really big myself. Like I'm just gonna bet like 150 here, and just hope he calls with a whatever, like a queen or a king.
Do you donk?
Yeah, yeah, I donk.
But
Um,
usually they are check raising and barreling.
no, not necessarily. Like they, and he's not check raising. He's raising in position. So he might just raise
Oh,
small with a queen and then check it down.
yeah.
But if you check and he bets, I would probably go way bigger. I just want like it's a fish, so I wouldn't worry about sizing. I just go as big as I think he'll call, which is probably like close to 300,
300. Okay.
maybe like 290. Okay,
But
that's
you think by donking we have more value than just check raising?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Because like
Okay.
here he had pocket queens.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Like of course like over here maybe the best value is to like check shove, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
in general he's not going to have pocket queens. He's going to have
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just a king or a naked queen,
Kings.
just one king a lot. And he's not going to bet all the time because this guy's very passive. So
Yeah.
if he has
Okay.
maybe he turned a 10 and he just min raises you because he's like, "Oh, I don't want to get barreled on the river or something." So um like just bet big on the river and that will have good value in the long run.
Okay, so how much would you bet? Donk bet then?
Yeah, close to pot.
Okay. Okay, fine, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, check calling and donking. Like you want to donk on this turn because this is. Oh, you're going in the wrong date order, man. Like it's from newest to oldest, right? Yeah, you need to go from oldest to newest, so you need to change the order. Because like if you had the info before, then like this guy's very passive. But like this is the first hand, so you don't know that now. But anyways, even readless, like you should donk because like he's got like he's not gonna barrel on this card a lot, and there's many draws you get value from. An ace never folds. 4 and 5 are usually not folding, so you've got a lot of value. So you want to just donk here.
What sizing?
Uh, Against the fish, you can go pretty big,
How much?
like 90.
90.
But
And
against a reg, I'd be more balanced. So because I might be donking here a lot against a reg with like a lot of my draws too. So against a reg, I might go like 40 with my entire range that I donk or something.
very well. We switch.
Let's finish the hand. Let's finish the hand. See what happened.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And like now, uh, he's obviously never folding an ace, but he wasn't folding to double barrels anyways. And so you're kind of just folding out those draws, which you got value from on the turn. All right, let's switch the hands around. Date. Um, why is it since 2016? Okay.
So
Since let's do it since like when
this
yes,
year,
just since date. And yeah, that might be good. Let's see how many hands you got. Yeah, I think
I
this
think
is.
this mount is okay, right?
Sorry. No, 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 no. That's too much. No, no, no. Back to 19. We had enough hands. We had enough hands. Let's just do today. That
Oh, okay.
we already had enough hands. So let's do this.
Oh,
Look at all these hands. So many hands. So go from oldest to newest, which would be yeah. You're doing that now, so that's good.
it's a reg. Kind of a good one.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, man. Raise or not?
As a standard, you should raise. Yeah,
versus a reg
yeah, yeah. Why not?
is not showing your hands.
No, it's not showing your hand. A lot of regs will think that you're like bluff raising, right? With like
But
some.
we don't have bluff raising here.
Yes, you do. You can bluff raise 8-7 offsuit. You can bluff raise flush draws. You can bluff
Yeah,
raise any two cards between the 6 and king, basically. And also, you have no statistics on him, so I don't know why you're calling him a reg, because you've got no
I
stat.
have on three-way.
Okay, but not in heads up. And so, against a reg, you should play default game. You should start off by playing default game and moving on from there.
What sizing we choose?
Standard size. So 75 or something, or 70,
Okay.
and like you're not gonna get value. And there's so many draws. Like look at the turn. Go to the turn. Because like now there's two flush draws. There's a straight draw, an open ender. There's many gut shots. There's ace high, and like you're not gonna get value now on the turn because he's not gonna barrel without like a king. He might not even barrel his draws because like you
Mhm.
called and it's a high fold equity flop, so it's important to just check raise on the flop.
Mhm. Very well.
Yeah, and look
I will
here,
took all the money.
yeah,
Yep.
uh, you could have maybe even stacked him if he's like not solid. Okay, and here you just I like the probe because you've got an open ender, so you've got like a strong draw, and if he checked, we can expect him to have like a 7 or a 9, or maybe ace high, and he's going to fold most of those, so he's only going to call with a queen or 10 twice, so you should probe and barrel on any river except maybe a jack or 3.
But if we don't have equity on the turn, we barrel. For
No,
example,
I wouldn't.
if
I wouldn't probe and barrel without equity.
never,
Usually not in a limp pot.
very important. Okay. But in mirror spot, we bet, right?
In a min raise pot, you can do it more. Yeah.
He raising me.
Hmm. Okay, that is interesting.
You called?
Depends on the odds you're getting.
I don't
So,
know. I did. I didn't call, but
so
Yeah, it's written 27.
you're getting 27%, and so you need like 18%. So I mean you've got 18% or something to like hit your straight on the river. So you're not getting direct odds, so you need to ask, are you getting implied odds? And probably not really on the 4 to the straight, so I don't mind your fold. But yeah, you need to know how to calculate those odds while you're playing, kind of. Alright, let's keep going. Hmm. Yeah, definitely probing. You have to probe.
even on the pair card,
Yeah, for sure. Because this guy is not a reg, he's a fish clearly, he's got a low VPIP, he's 3xing, he's donking. So he's clearly a fish, and on wet boards you need to probe and barrel. On wet boards you always probe and barrel, even with complete air here. So you've got a gut shot, so you can bet half pot, and then on the river you bet like 70%, and it's very, very basic and general rule. You have to do it. You've got
but
tons of fold equity. You've got tons of fold equity on the turn, and you've got as much, if not more, fold equity on the river.
we bet just half pot. We don't increase.
No, bet half pot to be exploitable against fishes because you've got a weak hand. So you just bet half pot against a fish, and they can call with a jack or a 10 more, and they can call with ace high more, and they can call with like king high more maybe, and then they can fold on the river.
We increase just with value.
Yeah, only increase with a value, so a queen or an 8, or a strong draw, so like a heart draw or something. And you see, you can fold that out for sure, very easily. If he doesn't fold this on the turn, he's folding always on the river.
Yeah, a lot. All the time.
Like almost always.
Can we just come back to the lesson? Sorry, I just wanted to ask something. When so we probably half pot, and on the turn, on which card don't we don't barrel?
You barrel every single card.
Even an ace or a king.
You do not barrel a queen or 9 or an 8. Yeah, that's all. Everything
Okay,
else.
but
Ace and
even
king.
ace, king. Okay.
Yeah. Ace and king you still barrel because you're folding out like maybe he's got a 9. You're folding out still like king high or ace high. If you're folding out like a jack, you're folding out better tens. So like yeah, you're still folding out a lot.
Yeah, okay.
And this stuff comes from Crush Fest, guys. So you're playing 30s now. You need to know Crush Fest by heart. You know, this is simple, the fundamental smart spin strategy. So you need to learn this
Yeah.
stuff by heart and know it. And against fishes, you follow it. Like it needs to be automatic, basically.
It's not like one information. There are a lot of.
Yeah, I know. But you know, Crush Fest is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Alright, check calling against a random is good, and call once more, and folding the river. Alright, well played.
You are folding on the river on this overcard.
Yep, I'm folding.
Yeah, because he can have the jack, right?
Um, it's just general population tendencies, actually. Like, fishes tend not to barrel very much on the river. They like to bet on the flop and then barrel on the turn with, like, some draw or something, but then they get really scared of triple barreling because they have to put in a big bet and stuff.
Yeah. Against the reg, we can think about this.
Yeah, you can think about calling against a reg.
Still a reg. I made
Yeah,
this
this guy's a
mistake,
reg. I know this guy's a reg.
but this is a dry one. We raise.
Yeah, I'd definitely check raise. Why would I check raise? Because he's so far folded to check raise is quite low.
Yeah.
Also he's like not c-betting too much, and like it looks really weird if we just check call. You know, we shouldn't be check calling much on paired structures, by the way, in a theoretical way. Like we should mostly check raise, and it should be a mix of value and bluffs, and so we should check raise a lot of our fours. We should check raise a lot of our jacks. We should check raise some draws, flush draws. We should check raise some back doors, and maybe some like overcards we can check raise, and then we should fold a lot. And we shouldn't be calling too much. That's how theory GTO plays basically, and he's going to call you a lot with ace high or king high, or he might be value betting a jack. He might be value betting like a flush draw. And like if you go like you run into problems on the turn because if you like on the turn, like do you donk or do you check call or do you check raise? Like if you check raise, it looks super strong. If you check call, um, he might not barrel without at least a jack or a straight or something. And yeah, okay. Well, that's nice.
But it doesn't matter. I should raise you on the flop.
Well, he had a four, so
70,
that's a cooler.
75.
Yeah, 75 standard
Oh,
size.
and again, oh, okay, I got it.
So like yeah, that's a leak I see a lot from like lower stakes players. Like they have a very strong hand and they don't fast play, they slow play, and it's a huge mistake usually. Like when you've got a strong hand, you want to raise and put in the money and make the pot bigger. You don't want to like keep it small, you know. Okay, here I'm not betting because it's ace high in the limped pot, and so what I prefer to do is I prefer to go for the delay probe on the river. Um,
Okay, this is one is a mistake, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Um, like in a limped pot, you should only probe um, if like uh, you have some equity, so you have at least a gut shot, or you've got like some value. So here you should only probe like a king and better, basically. Or like you could maybe with a queen or ten, I wouldn't probe because that's got showdown value, to be honest. So I'd only probe like a king, basically, king and better.
Very well. I had a wrong approach. I was I knew I should delay, but still I just one delay and with no equity. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that readless, cause like yeah, most fishes don't have an ace-x in the limping range, and they'd usually c-bet it if they did, but that's not always the case, right? So, um, yeah.
Good spot to donk.
Sorry?
This one is a good spot to donk.
I would not worry about what is a good spot or not to donk, because, like, in our game plan, we're not donking much yet. And so, you just got to 30s, and even if this is a good spot to donk, like,
Uh,
it's much simpler to have a simple game plan where you have a set of rules, and like donking's not in that set of rules. You've got Crashfest, that is your set of rules, and with top pair here, you might as well just check raise and get the money in.
but just with cash first,
Mm-hmm.
I am able to move at 16. I
Yes,
don't
yes, absolutely. You're not playing like Crushfest
think
right now, so you don't know how great Crushfest is. Like Crushfest crushes fishes. It's the most
man.
exploitable strategy against fishes, and of course, against regs, you don't need to follow Crushfest. You need to like adjust to regs properly. But against fishes, purely follow Crushfest. It is the number one strategy against fishes. So if you're playing against a random, that's the strategy you should use. It's the strategy I use against fishes because it's the best strategy against fishes.
Man, I will put tonight to look at the all crash first.
You
Yeah,
need
same. Yeah.
you need to study them regularly and know what's in there, and like uh you shouldn't try to like learn GTO or anything against fishes because that's just stupid. Like you're just going to lose a lot of EV against them by trying to do something different from Crushfest generally against fishes.
Very well.
There's very few situations when you can move away from Crushfest, and um, like they are very rare, and you need to know why you can move away from Crushfest if you're doing that basically against fishes.
30, right here.
Yeah, yeah, I'd bet here for sure. I like it.
Yeah, this is,
And
you are
this
not
this is pretty close for sure. This is close because you have a good hand to bluff with. Why do you have a good hand to bluff with? Because you kind of block all the straight draws, and if he checked, he's not checking with a 9 usually, so he's capped to a 4 or a 2, and like you can represent like 6 or 3 or overcards, 8 on the river. So this is a good hand to bluff with. You can also represent spades because you got the jack of spades. Also, this guy looks passive, so he's not c-betting much, and when he checks, he has folded once. So this is a spot that I do not mind probing because you have an interesting hand to do it with. But generally, and like you're gonna fold out a 4 and 2 on the river, or like almost always, and that's his best hand unless he hit a magic 7. So like you're gonna have a lot of fold equity here, and this is why I don't mind probing here. But yeah, in general, we shouldn't probe with the air
without a
in
5.
a limp pot.
We should bet
Without a 5, I'd usually not be doing it, no. I
because
think the
it's
5 is
not
quite important.
it's not the same thing like you have a lot of 4 and use and we can barrel on the 7 and after if it's uh, a card over the 4 we can barrel it again.
Um, Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah, you can even barrel on a 3, to be honest. You can barrel every single card. You can barrel 100% of cards on the river.
okay, that means we can barrel here without even without the 5, right?
Uh, no, the 5 is what is one of the factors that allows you to probe because it gives you more opportunities to barrel. Without the 5, I might not even probe. I might just check if I didn't have a 5.
Oh, because we blocked the straight and his equity is very low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Checking.
Yeah,
No.
I have this mistake in
Yeah, in limped
my
pots,
class.
you go for the delay probe with air in general. And, like, if you're probing, you might as well just go and barrel. Because, like, you block the straight. Uh, you're not folding an 8, but you're folding a 3 and maybe a 7 or 6. I mean, you're making it a bit complicated by probing on the turn.
Yeah, a lot.
So, like, learn Crush first, and it tells us not to be probing air on limped pots. In a min-raise pot, you can go and probe.
Very well. I think I found my biggest mistake from this position. Even here.
Here
Oh,
you can probe. Here you can probe because you've got a
wow.
gut shot.
That's right. Oh, I didn't see.
Yes. So if you have any equity at all, you can probe. That's kind of how it is. If you don't have equity, you don't probe.
Good.
And also, like, check folding is like one of the worst lines when you have some equity. So especially if you've got a hand that you cannot check call with, but it's got some equity, that's a good hand to put into your probing range if you think you have some fold equity, basically.
Good.
Okay, you can value bet for sure. Yeah, I think it's fine.
But it's just limpot. We choose limpot.
That was fine whether it was limped or min raised. No,
Because
this is
I,
everything, I think. I think it's everything, right?
yeah, me too. We folding here, right?
Yeah, I think people are just not min raising much. Yeah, I'd fold.
Because look.
So okay. Because it's a double paired board, I wouldn't probe. But if it was any other card, I would probe, basically. Because, like, you have a gut shot. Checking. Here you should check
Check.
because you've got bottom pair from the flop. So, king still beats you, 6 still beats you. He can have all of those. You'll be in tough spots on the river. Like, you won't be able to value bet this hand unless you improve. And you don't want to, like, bet and then check on the river and him bet a big bet. Like, you want to check and check call because, like, you have a good hand to check call with. You've got a pair, you've got some showdown value, you've got gut shot, so you can improve, and this is a very good hand to check call with.
With a 6, we are betting here, right?
With a strong 6, yes. With a weak 6, no. So it depends on the kicker. So I'd only bet 10-6 and better. Here you can bet. Because you've got a strong kicker. So the stronger the kicker, the more you can bet, basically.
But should we bet bigger here? Or
Um,
half?
yeah, I like betting 30 usually.
Okay. Every time? Normally?
Yeah, usually. But this guy seems to be overfolding to probes. That's fine. Here it's a min-raise pot, so you can go ahead and probe. Because in a min-raise pot, you can probe all your air hands. Every time you got air, you can go and probe.
Even against the reg?
Sorry?
Even against the reg, because I was thinking he's a reg, firstly.
Oh, he doesn't look like a reg.
He doesn't, yeah, he doesn't look.
You just
But
started to play against him, and
I spoke with him and he asked me if I'm in smart spin.
mm,
And I was like, he knows about smart spin, maybe it's some kind of reg.
hmm. Okay, yeah, that's true. Well, if you think it's a reg, then you don't have to probe here. But you know, you actually have a gut shot. You've got some equity, so I don't mind probing here. And the thing is, even regs at low stakes, they can be very, very bad. And when you don't know what to do against a reg, in general, you can default to Crush Fest and then adjust from there.
Oh,
Um, and yeah, if like you've got no stats, you have no reads, like yeah, he maybe because of that comment he could be a reg, but uh, you should just be following your default game plan when you don't have much info.
okay.
And you lose, of course. And here he min raised. He's not c betting in min raise pots, but he's c betting here. He's folding to pro, so you know his range looks pretty strong. But at like shallow stacks, I still tend to check raise most of my king x. Uh, yeah, I still check raise most of my king x at shallow stacks. The shallow you are, the more you should be check raising because the stacks are smaller, so you can the value in each of your hands goes up. Now I think this guy's a reg actually.
With
I think
this bigger fold versus me race.
yeah, but I've seen his name before, and I think he's a reg.
I think he's from smart spin.
No, I don't think he's from Smartspin.
But what it means shallow? Like under what BBs?
I'd say like less than 15. You're starting to get pretty shallow,
Okay.
especially in the min
And
raise pot.
what sizing we use here?
Uh, like standard 120, 130. That will allow you to shove on the turn.
And we are check raising here with Queen 10.
Yeah, you should check raise with like any equity, and you can even sometimes check raise some complete air if you think he's over c betting, but it doesn't look
But
like
it's
that.
the case.
And so we are folding to re-raise if we raise, right?
Nope, never, because you're
Oh,
too
really?
shallow. Like if you check
Okay.
raise king on such a board at such shallow stacks, like you can never fold your king. You can start folding top pair when you're deeper. So above 16 big blinds, you can start to raise fold more. But
Okay.
below 16 big blinds, you should never ever check raise and fold with top pair.
Okay, thanks. I did not know that.
Okay, well I guess now you're just calling down.
I thought
Um, I'd call.
you call. I was so fucked up because oh my god.
Yeah, I know, like, obviously he's doing this always with a king, but this is the best hand you're gonna have. I mean, or one of them. Like, you're not gonna have too many, like, king 10 or better. Like, the best hand you'll have will be, like, king 9 or something like that. So, unless you, like, rivet king 7 or jack 10 or something. So, you know, if he's got if he's aggressive and he's got tendencies to barrel, like you need to call down sometimes and close your eyes and call. If you fold here, you're being too exploitable. And against the reg, you don't want to be exploitable.
Man, and I wanted so much to call here and I was like this call is not profitable and I will not. But do you think he bluffs here?
He can bluff sometimes. We never know.
And we only need 25%, so even one on four it's enough.
Yeah, and it's possible maybe he's even shoving like ace jack or something sometimes. Okay, calling.
we can't check raise here.
You can check raise here again, especially against like these statistics. Um, and he looks like he's like got a weak limping range. You can definitely like check raise quite a lot basically. And so with this gut shot, I would be check raising. And it looks like you could even just ISO a lot against this guy if you wanted. Like you can ISO like 60% of the time or something crazy. So if you
But here, if we check, but here, if we check raise, on which card do we barrel? Because when I do that, sometimes I feel like I'm going to be, when I'm cold, I don't know what to do on the turn. If
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
hit the 2 use.
I mean, I don't really know what to do either on the turn, but check raising is probably the most profitable thing because he's going to fold sometimes. And on the turn, like, you can barrel like quite a lot, probably like 40% of the pot. And if he continues calling, you can just give up on the river
Okay,
because
yeah.
they're so deep. And
Without equity,
yeah, and
without equity, we can bet raise,
you've got
But we
equity.
have
You've
equity.
got a gut shot. And
but we,
also, like, without equity, I wouldn't do it because I usually want a bit of equity. Like, if I had no equity, like complete air hand, I'd at least want some kind of backdoors or something that had backdoor equity at least, or something like that. Yeah.
oh,
And you can also be check raising like every single 5 and every single 10 against him, against these
oh,
tendencies,
cool.
so that you've got like check raising for value range, and you can like check raise those for value actually, and check call on the turn and decide on rivers or something.
Okay, but if it's a pair board and we don't have equity and he's higher VPIP and higher C betting, we raising.
Yeah,
He's C
you
bet.
can do that if you've, but especially, I like to have some kind of backdoor equity at least. So, if the board is like 10-10-5 and I have 4-3, I'm probably not going to check raise that because I have nothing. But if I have like 6-7 or 8-9, then I've got a backdoor straight draw. Or even better if I've got one of those with a backdoor flush draw as well. So then I can definitely check raise those. I might check raise like king high or something because that has overcards. Okay?
Right. And here is not the same. Okay, got it.
You should call with the pair.
Yeah, because he is bettering.
Yeah.
But it's just one time. It's you can take. Oh, it's 2 times.
It doesn't matter. You've got a pair plus a gut shot.
Ah,
So I'd
okay.
call. Check raising.
Oh, yeah.
Check raising?
Of course.
Really?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had 2-9. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Ah, okay.
Okay, so check calling. And
Calling. What?
it's a pot bet on the turn. So here, it's a random player. And, like, uh, against a random, uh, it's a pretty big bet. If it was 60, I'm definitely calling. Over here, it's really close. I don't hate folding, but I'm always
Yeah.
calling to 60. The pot bet is pretty scary.
Yeah, it is.
But the thing is, a lot of fishes, they like to bet on the turn with a draw. So if he has a flush draw or like a straight draw, they like to bet on the turn, and then they love to just give up on the river. So, it could be best to call here, to be honest, even against that size. I mean, I know they love to do that, especially when they bet like half pot or 60 into 80 or something, but pot size, it might be more value heavy. Okay, check, check. Yep. On the river, you can even like bet one big blind if you want, just to get a call from ace high maybe. But there's nothing wrong with checking. and you saw his hand. He had like 2-3, I think.
Yeah, three.
So you need to like look at his hand, and you had 6-7 in that hand. So go back to that 6. Okay, 6-5. So you had 6-5, and like look at his hand. He had 2-3, and you need to note that he did not bet at any point in this hand. He never bet the flop. He never bet the turn. So he's not bluffing. And in the previous hand, he bluffed. He bet pot on the turn. So this shows that this guy is a very weak and passive player, and so against his bets you need to be very, very careful. And when he's checking, you can even like just probe 100% almost. Like even like this hand, you can consider probing against him because you know he's got air, and you just want to protect your hand or something.
Very
Because
common.
he's not going to be like bluffing on the river enough. That makes
That
sense?
means I should barrel here.
Here, yeah, if he checked on the flop, you can just go and bet because, like, he's not the type of player to like bluff, basically.
This is the same guy?
Yep. Yeah, good bet for sure. You want to protect from all the draws. Cool.
Oh, it's isopod. It's first play, first time. Check, right?
Uh-huh. Um, wait, actually, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Is this guy a reg or fish? Well, anyways, it's an ISO against anyone at your stakes. So, you've got a gut shot. Um, he's limp folding a decent amount. I think it's a reg. Looks kind of reggy. You've got a small sample on him. Um, your particular hand is a good hand to bluff with. You block some of his draws, and if you just bet half pot and shove on the turn, he's gonna fold like a ton. He's gonna fold all his overcards, and yeah, it's not a bad place to be bluffing. And here I think you can like if he bets 90, I think you can just check shove because
Why?
because you've got two overcards and a gut shot, and you have no showdown value, and so you can't like go check call then check 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 really like you. But you can like check shove, and you can fold out some high cards. You can fold out even an 8 might fold, or even a 6 might fold sometimes. Um, so it can be a very strong move. And if he calls with an 8 or a pair or something, you're going to be splitting basically. You're like flipping against that.
Why we are check racing against 90? You said it's very good if he bet 19, but if you bet smaller, it's not good to raise.
No, you can raise if he bets any size, but you don't have to. Like if it's not in your style, you don't have to. It's just like an interesting thing to do, basically, and it should work rather frequently. If you put it into Equilab, and you see like the equity of, for example, 10-9 off against Ace 8 off, which he never has, but you know that's a pretty strong hand. You've got 40% against that, so even against a strong 8, you're doing quite well, basically.
But it's not like it's not in my style. It's about playing the profitable game.
Right, but you see, unfortunately, that's one of the problems with you because in poker, people do have different styles, and it's not like there's always one solution to everything. It's not
Okay.
like I say this, so it's always best. Like sometimes, two people who are very good at the game can have different opinions on one spot because poker's not black and white, and poker is not A to B. It's not like a mathematical equation, and it's not like engineering. Like there's a yes and no answer to everything. Some spots it's impossible for a human to solve, especially while they're playing. Maybe you can solve it off the tables or with AI, but it's not possible to do it while you're playing at the table. So you need and like you need to spend a lot of time in those tools to like solve this stuff, and that might only be best against another person of playing this style or something. So some spots are just impossible to solve. So check raising here is a very interesting option, which may be about equally good to uh, like check calling or barreling. Mm. So here, I think you have to call
Oh,
because like you've got top pair,
yeah.
and he's like if he's aggressive at all, he's probably gonna bet and barrel all the time, and so you beat all the weaker pairs. Uh, you've got equity. You've got a gut shot to the nuts. You've got like maybe a 9 or 10 is still good. He could be doing this with a ton of hands. Like he could be doing this with two overcards or a 10. He could be doing this with an 8 or like flush draw. So you can't fold here.
Okay.
And if you're not comfortable calling here, then check raising might be better
Yeah, a lot.
on the flop, or just betting and shoving on the turn. That's also fine. So there's a lot of options here, and I'm not totally sure which is best. But I'd probably either bet and shove or check raise. I don't like check calling because you're never gonna win unless a 7 comes.
Oh, or a 10.
Or a 10, yeah. Okay. Oh, yep. Um, this guy, yeah, I mean, we've got value, and it's a good idea to probe, sure. Yeah, here we should just call, and on the turn, um,
It's too small, right?
I mean, this guy's a wreck, and he's playing 100% of hands, and like, he's never limp raising, so he probably doesn't have too many ace-x, to be honest. But at the
Okay.
same time, he's not going to barrel very much, so I think this is fine. And I don't mind your sizing against a reg, especially when we think he's got a weak range.
Okay. I think he fold. Oh, he raise.
Um, and uh, so he's kind of representing.
Better kings.
Yeah, but uh, he might be bluffing. Yeah, I
Yes.
like calling and then donk shoving on most rivers.
Donk shoving.
Okay, not
Not
that
this
one.
one.
Yeah, but like for example on a blank, uh,
Wow.
I
Okay.
like on a 9 or lower basically. I like donk shoving, because like that's a very unbelievable line, and I'm not gonna fold if he has a better king. But like we might be getting value from like a 10 or an ace, or maybe he rivered something. So yeah.
But I don't think. Okay, I don't think he's raising here with the 8. I didn't think he would raise with the 10, but still, he raised.
Yeah. Yeah, so you shouldn't think anything about them, basically. You shouldn't try to put people on ranges if you don't know who they are. And you can.
But you put him a 10 in his range here.
You can include it if you want, but you don't have to. Like, I'm not even putting him on a range necessarily. I'm playing my hand over in this spot. I've got a strong hand. I'm not folding. You can raise on the turn.
Hmm. I'm more for donking on the river.
Okay, you can do that too. But the thing is, like, there's a lot of draws actually. Like, there's a jack,
Yeah.
there's a queen, there's a flush draw. So I don't mind raising either. And I think you need to fast play more with your strong hands. You're not doing that enough. So
Yeah.
you need to fast play more with your strong hands. Like, one of the things I'm very, very good at is I'm very, very good at getting value. Um, so when it comes to getting value, I'm very good at that for some reason, and I fast play a lot. I don't slow play too much. Maybe I also bluff a lot. I don't know, but like my blue line is very good. My red line is not so good, but I'm very aggressive. So yeah, I fast play my good hands a lot, basically. Okay,
Half.
gut shot. I prefer going half pot with such a strong hand. Yeah,
We half pot here. I don't get it.
yeah, half pot,
Okay.
and yeah, checking, and okay, well played. Yep, calling. Nope. You have to call
Call.
because the 2 is a blank and you've got second pair and a good kicker. So you cannot fold yet. And he's a fish, so he can be barreling the 2 with nothing. Like he can be barreling the 2 with a 3 or a 5 or 2 overcards or a flush draw. And he's just going to give up on the river. And against those type of players, it's very easy to just call the turn and fold on the river if they barrel.
With lower kicker, we fold, right?
Nope.
Nope.
Never folding a 6. I'm never folding a 4.
4.
Yeah, I'm calling every 4 as well. Okay.
Here. Okay. Okay.
Yep. And on the river, like you're targeting some ace high, some weaker 9s. Yeah, I like it. Cool. I am never probing readless because like he's got like he checked back on the flop. He's got every 4. He's got every 2. He's got a lot of spades, backdoor flush draws. So you're not achieving anything here, and you're just going to be put in the tough spot on the river. Much easier to just check call here.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. Okay, that's fine on the river. I don't mind check folding. He's not turning a 4 or a king into a bluff usually. Cool.
This is a misclick. I don't make these things.
Okay, okay. Well, that's nice. Um, why don't you bet?
I don't know. The missed things, the wrong things continued, you know. You can
Yeah,
make
but
one.
I mean, you clicked him, so it's you hit, so time to bet.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty wet board. It's 8 high. It's got many straight draws, many flush draws, and you just
Yeah.
want to get value. So like 2 overcards, like yeah, just bet and get your value. Okay.
Oh, sad.
And like on the 7, you've got a lot of fold activity.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. Okay, probe and barrel for value. Yep. You should barrel. Of course, like he could have a 9, but like you can still target an 8 basically. You're splitting with a lot of kings. 3 is not folding, an ace might not fold. So okay, what the heck? So I like betting about half pot here, but I mean he bluffed for you, so that's nice. I don't know why he'd bluff with that. Okay, no comment.
Okay.
That's interesting. Definitely calling, yeah. Yeah, well played.
If we bet here smaller, like 90, 80, 70,
Usually
70.
I wouldn't do it because like we have a showdown value and
If they are betting,
he could easily have an ace.
if they are betting smaller, like 17, 18, we call.
Hmm.
Okay.
Oh, on the river you mean? No, no, no.
No?
No.
17?
Nope. Folding on the river if they bet like 70. Because like they almost never bluff like that. It's almost always a value bet.
Yeah.
If they wanted to bluff, they'd usually be betting big, and we fall to a big bet too because we just cannot call against a big bet because we're being charged too much and they don't barrel enough on the river. So, against both sizings, against fishes, you should fold. Yep. Okay, and you can bet like a small size on the river. You can bet like 90 here and target a 604 because a 604 is not folding to 90 or 80 chips. And you also avoid him betting a big size. So it's a very exploitable move, but I like it against fishes to bet a small size. Okay. Yeah, this is fine to check down. Okay. You should raise for sure. Because he's c-betting a lot, but also like you've got a strong hand, you've got a decent kicker. He's not barreling very much on the turn, so just check raise. He's not gonna fold too much. Yeah, I'd probably go a bit bigger against a fish, and hope he doesn't have a flush. Okay, good job. Okay, yeah, definitely probe and barreling here. With the open ender, you also have a heart and club, so you've got a ton of rivers to bluff. Cool.
Smaller, right?
No, yeah, I'd even go 60 here, bigger, because you've got an open ender. So the stronger you draw, the bigger you can bet.
Hmm.
Okay, let's finish like two more hands. So this and one more. Here with king high, I don't see any point in bluffing usually, and just taking it to showdown is fine. Okay, that's okay.
Isn't he a smart spinner?
Luffy, yes.
Okay.
Wow, wow, how do you know them so fast?
I remember the name.
Okay, but SPT is not at 13. How do
He was at 30s when I was playing there before, and I coached him.
Oh my god, man. He saw for so long time there and
But there's many people who are at 30s for like a year, you know? It's nothing special. So you
okay.
don't want to be like them, do you? So that's why you need to work hard and grind hard and move up. Because, yeah, like there's a lot of people who get stuck at the same stakes for a very, very long time.
Okay. It's
They,
scary.
yeah, it is scary. So you know you need to work, basically.
65.
Yeah, and if you know that he's a regular, you can even go and overbet here when you got some value. But okay,
Oh, I didn't
if you
try.
wanna keep it simple, just do this. Yeah, I like it. And good. Yeah. Okay. And one more hand. Calling. Yeah. Calling twice. Good hand to do it. And we have to fold. I wouldn't call on the river. Like um, you can still be value betting a jack. And uh, I mean, it's a really good run out to be bluffing, to
Yeah.
be honest. So, I actually don't hate calling here if you know he's a reg and he's aggressive. So this is a spot where you can kind of make a hero call if you want. But
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
playing solid on the river is fine. Maybe you could, like you could try and do some frequencies like fold uh, 70% of the time and call 30% or something, just to make sure you're not overfolding against a reg. But yeah, usually with bottom pair, it's just an easy fold, right?
Okay.
All
Very cool.
right, yeah. Let's end the coaching. Um, Hope it was useful and like definitely uh, go over the crash vest because you don't know all of it by heart in that situation. This is an important spot. Your red line should be massive from this position, like heads up big blind opportunity to probe. It's all about the red line. You should be probe and barreling a lot with bluffs, but also not in limp pots. Remember to or go for the delay probe if you've got air, and only go for the probe if you've got equity. And don't probe bottom pair too often. Like I saw you doing that
Okay,
quite a lot
very
for no reason. And yeah, that's about it.
okay. I want to note those things. Can you repeat?
Okay.
Sorry
I'll
for.
I'll close my recording though.